Howdy gang, it's Stuck on Pandora here with the next segment in the ranked previews meta, notes from the playbook. In the last couple of videos, we've given an in-depth explanation of why I feel the meta is in the battle algorithm, and then gave a short example of why and how the typical idea of the meta as character or certain characters or pieces of gear falls short, ending with some thoughts on ranked in the future. Here I'm going to offer a quick summary of the idea behind this version of the meta, and then get into the specifics. In reality, these aren't videos that higher level players necessarily need. They do this all the time by instinct, but it had to be honed after hours and hours into the game and not quitting. So these videos are more for the newer players or middle of the road players, preventing them from quitting or stepping their game up to the next level when they can't quite understand how that 5-man team is pub stomping them, or they get on Twitch or YouTube and they watch some of the higher level play, some of the tournament play, and they're scratching their heads on why any of the decisions that are being made are being made. I believe it's crucial, especially for new players, to understand that Battleborn is not a KD, shooter skill, solo style experience. Great Battleborn play is team play, and the meta of that in this case are plays and tactics. So what is a game? If we want to get into the meta of Battleborn, in this case specifically the plays and the tactics that are going to go above and beyond the game, then we first have to understand game theory and define just exactly what a game is so we can better understand this. And a game is a physical or mental competition conducted according to rules with the participants in direct opposition to each other, or the one I like best from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a model of a competitive situation that identifies interested parties and stipulates rules governing all aspects of the competition used in game theory to determine the optimal course of action for an interested party. So why are we talking about what the definition of a game is in a Battleborn tactics video? Well, we're going for a very top-down view of just how Battleborn works as a game in order to implement tactics within it. So in order to go to the meta beyond the game, we have to first understand what we're going beyond. For our purposes, we're looking specifically at Incursion, for it seems to be the game mode that players gravitate towards playing competitively. So do we have a game? In the case of Incursion, do we even have a game? Let's go from our definition. Are there participants? Yes, there are Battleborn. You play as a Battleborn that is a participant in the game. Are there rules? Yes, there's a win condition which requires Sentry Death, and a Battleborn also has a limited number of actions and leveraging power that they can apply to the win condition. Now we use game theory to determine the optimal course of action. Alright, so what is the win condition for Incursion? It's kill the enemy team sentry. So we begin with the end in mind, we want to kill a sentry, and we branch off in complexity from there. Now, why do we not say, okay, in order to kill the sentry, we need a geared out, well-built Benedict or Galileo or Alani, and we'll just go and we'll win. No problem. Just so long as you have a good Alani, the game's over. When you play football, for instance, you don't just put Tom Brady on the field. Tom Brady isn't the meta of football. He just fits very well in the current meta tactics of the game. In this case, you want to score touchdowns in football. He's really good at the forward pass. So, Stephon Curry, he isn't the meta of basketball. He just fits very well in the current meta tactics of basketball. He excels at the three-point shot. These things are defined by the highest tier players of the game, sure. So Alani and Benedict, and these are your highest tier players in Battleborn right now. But baseball, for instance, had 10 years of the home run ball, and now it's gone back to more of a slow pitcher's game. And it's always defined by the athlete. So, you know, right now it might be playing your Benedict, but it's going to change depending on how balance gets applied. And so we go for this broad overview so we don't have to make a video over and over saying what is or isn't the meta. We can just say there's general ways to play. So let's get out of the world of sports, if this helps, and think about chess. You know chess is a game. Well, Watson isn't the meta of chess either. Watson's a computer. It makes the best decisions. It makes the best optimal tactics on the board, but at some point the designers or judges have to decide that Watson is way too strong. He doesn't meet the criteria to be within the rules of the game, and that's an outlier. Watson would be an outlier. Broken character is an outlier. This isn't an XYZ video on tier list of player skill or Battleborn strength. It's the more global concept of how to implement basic tactics that are going to get you the win and how to go even beyond those tactics. Tactics are the meta. We have a game. It is defined by a field of play, rules, and objective-bound competitive interaction. No different with Battleborn. We have Battleborn. They are able to perform a certain number of actions bound by code. If it was football, they'd be bound by a referee in the playbook within a field, and their win condition is killing a sentry, or in football, it's scoring a touchdown. And we can become really good at this once we understand what our limitations are. Once you know what your obstacles are, in this case, once you understand that just playing a very well geared out and helix built Alani is not going to kill a sentry, then you can optimize your path to victory. And my analogy here is cooking. If you want to cook eggs Benedict, but you don't know how to cook an egg, let alone have a stove or a kitchen, you're not going to be making eggs Benedict. You know, you need your range, you need a good frying pan, butter it, and the ingredients. You need to know how to cook an egg. And by the same token, you can apply this anywhere in life, but if you want to be worthy of Song Miko on a team that is nigh unbeatable, you're going to need to know how to play in a team where you should be on the battlefield and how to play Miko, or you're not going to be making that worthy of Song, and you're definitely not going to be on a team that is nigh unbeatable. Now that you have the brief overview, let's get into how a play or a tactic is made in Battleborn. There's 3 steps to it, that's it. And they're all based around the fundamental elements of the game. First, you're going to play a Battleborn. That's the players locked in the competitive objective. And that Battleborn is going to have a rule on the field. We're going to keep the football analogy because I feel it fits best for Battleborn. A football player might be a quarterback, he might be a tight end, he might be a lineman, and all of that is dependent upon their unique skills they bring to the game. Miko doesn't excel at bursting people down by himself. He's got a low health pool, he's got a, no shield, but he's good at certain things. Just like you wouldn't field a team with 11 6'8" 300-pound defensive linemen. The other team would use blockers combined with agility-based athletes to run around you. The same works in Battleborn. You shouldn't field a team with pure support, or you won't have the necessary chemistry to put down a sentry. So you have a team composition. The team composition, it's a fairly rigid thing. In football, as the game has been honed over the years, a definite team composition has formed, linemen, running backs, receivers, etc. In Battleborn, you should be running with the same idea, just to be in the game, let alone create play. And it's generally 2 to 3 support players, a healer, a DPS. Nothing is set in stone yet, this is a young game still being defined by its players. But if you go out with nothing but supports, you're not going to have the burst damage to kill somebody. If you don't have any CC on the field, you're not going to be able to set up somebody for your DPS player to burst down. If you don't have a tank or any health on the field, you're not going to maintain lane and you're going to get pushed back. So once you have the idea of team composition in your head, understand that you're Battleborn, they can only do a certain number of actions within the game itself. A football player, for instance, basically they can move forward. And that's what a lot of football boils down to, is just moving forward and then being able to score points. So a Battleborn, they can do one of 2 things, really. They can assist in the killing, or do the killing of things, or become better at killing things. Yeah, sure, they can gear up, they can grab crystals, they can jump around, move, dodge, etc. But all of your actions boil down to doing one of these 2 things all the time. It's the fusion of how well you do these 2 things combined with the battle algorithm, which is the 30-minute video, but how well do you fulfill your role, basically, within your team composition and then your decision-making process. But that creates the equation, which are tactics. And the point of this video, if you do this in football, you score a touchdown. If you do this in Battleborn, you kill a sentry, and that means you're going to win the game. So we're going to now look at some basic plays, how to do them, and then a challenge to you, the players. Alright, here is a number 1 most used, most poorly executed tactic in the game, backdooring. Many call this cheesing. No matter where you stand on this, it's a controversial tactic that generally doesn't go well unless executed with precision. In this clip, I'm using Thorn, who has long distance attacks and an AoE dot. This is a great backdoor character. Now, besides sentry damage, I can grab their shards, slowing down their ability to get gear, and destroy their buildables, which cuts off their retreat. You see the enemy team goes to retreat, and I'm able to get a pick. Backdooring is not just killing a sentry, backdooring is being deep behind enemy lines, disrupting their combat flow. Backdooring also means huge advantages in communication. communication. This whole match I'm able to tell my teammates what the enemy team is up to. This creates one of the most disruptive plays in the entire game, stealing mid-thralls. Let's flip perspectives and see the most common variant of backdoor being used against us. There's a strong front, a tank, a support, a DPS, and they cause enough damage and chaos that a character like Thorn, Shannon Oryx, Marquis, Oscar Mike, etc. can simply get up on a ledge and produce some damage on the sentry. This tactic done well can be the great equalizer, and why many call it a cheese. It's just so easy to pull off. Again, Battleborn is not really a KD-centric game, it's about team composition and how you execute your game plan. We managed to push this Shane back, but he has still successfully managed to backdoor because he split the defense. He's out free, whilst a Thrall, Minions, Gult, and Boulder are still pushing in through the mid lane. This takes us to our next play, which is the absolute bread and butter tactic of Incursion, the minion push. All the team needs to do in order to generate a minion push is grab the mid thralls and MX Elite Bot and push in with their minion. However, it's deceptively simple. In order to pull this off fully, a team must time this with their minions, preferably overshielding shepherds. Know when the enemy team is caught sleeping, and roll as a team to defend their push. Otherwise, you've only fed the enemy team EXP. The simplest form of this play is the push to get mid-thralls. Now for this clip, I'll show you just how devastating this tactic can be when executed fully. This is a match which is currently being edited for another ranked previews episode, so there's a lot more that happened in this video, but the key element in this clip is the battle for mid-thralls and how getting them early was so disruptive. Mid-thralls have spawned, we've managed to get a pick, their buildables destroyed, and a healing station in the middle, so I make the call out that we should go for a mid-thrall push. Now this seems like a cinch to begin with, but a smart team knows the deadliness of a well-executed minion push, so we get resistance, and we're caught sleeping with this police flank. Whoever had successfully gotten mid-thralls, in this case it was the enemy team, would have generated the exact same result. The flow of the combat was such that mid-thralls at this early time in the match, and the lack of players being on defense and no buildables available, meant that the mid-thralls were super deadly at that time. If either team had waited for even 2 more minutes, it would have been a wash in either direction. The minion push is the most straightforward, clearest tactic to victory, but also the most difficult to time and execute properly. Alright, so the final play in this video, covering what I view as the most coordination intensive play of the game, but also to me my personal favorite, what I view as the most effective way to win any match whatsoever, and I call it the pick and roll. So the way this works is that you're gonna get a pick and then you're rolling down the map, and by pick I mean you're getting a KO. It's the most fundamental skill for a team to have, and it's most often ignored by teams in the game. It's also the test of your combat effectiveness, teamwork, and communication. A team that has mastered and executes pick and roll better than anyone wins every time. In this first example, we're dominating the other team because we are laying down perfect pick and rolls. The other team here is not. For when I was stunned by the boulder, this was a perfect time for them to focus and burst me down. Instead, my teammates saved my life and were then able to do exactly that to Boulder. The easiest way to pick and roll is you have to put somebody out of position. In this final clip, we use pick and roll to win the match. This is a match that literally came down to the final moments, and we use the pick and roll to win it. The pick and roll is most easily done by having a character with CC or a disruption that can pull an enemy out of cover. You may not have a disruptor on the team, in which case you'll need to be coy or cunning to bait the enemies from their position or cover. Once an enemy team has put itself out of cover, your entire team collapses on their position, body blocking them and bursting them down in seconds with your focused team firing. Killing enemy Battleborn negates 1/5 of the enemy team's effectiveness. That's huge. That will win you matches. Now I'm going to leave you guys with some extra bonus footage of doing the pick and roll to give you a better idea of how you do it. But CC, body block, team fire. It's all about communication. If you can get that communication down to burst somebody down, you can pick and roll. And here's a great example of it. Now, in closing here, this is a challenge to you. I have some of you guys on footage. Believe it or not, I have some of you guys on film accomplishing some really cool, amazing things. And so I know there's more than these plays out there, and in fact I plan on making more of these playbooks because I got some more plays up my sleeve I want to demonstrate. But show me your plays in the comments below. Let me know, because I think, as I've argued, this is the meta of Battleborn. It's all about these strategies. So the meta is still being built. Also, I'm going to continue to be building on this series. I'll be adding more supplementary vids to it throughout the year. With Luke Comendinio, I'm still working on the PvE Consortium. I'm working on in character builds 2.0. That's what I got for you. Learn how to pick and roll. You're going to win matches. Twitch.tv/StuckOnPandora. Later.